Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 2019 AMATIC webinar series. Today, preparing the presenters and presiders to share great ideas with Tim Britt, Natalie Vega Rhodes, and Judy Williams. This is sponsored by AMATIC. The views expressed by the presenters, sorry about that, are not, the views expressed by the presenters are not necessarily the views of AMATIC. Commercial products mentioned are not endorsed by AMATIC. We'd like to thank Alex and McGraw-Hill for sponsoring the webinar series. And I will stop sharing now. And Judy, I will let you and Tim and Natalie run the show.
Welcome to everybody. We are so glad that you're joining us. See some old friends and presenters who are experienced and lots of new timers too. And we really appreciate you coming today. And hopefully we'll get all your questions answered and you'll feel much more prepared to get to Milwaukee. And as Patrick said, we are your hosts. You can see our pictures here. Tim will be sharing later in the presentation, and Natalie is having some cold and voice problems, so she's here, but she'll be monitoring questions and, appear later perhaps. But first of all, we want to thank you for submitting these proposals. And what we're going to talk about today is a quick overview of the conference, all the presentation preparation with questions that you might already have, the app for the conference, the different sessions we'll be having, a little hotel orientation, what you must do, how to check in, presider duties, and then of course questions and answers. So go ahead and put those questions in the chat window and we'll get to them as time allows. And if there's not a typable answer, someone will let us know so we can all jump in and help you out. But by the numbers, we've got over 900 people registered last time I checked. Over 400 of you are presenting in different ways. We have sessions that are 50 minutes, the 29 mini sessions, which are really 58 different presentations because they come in 25-minute pairs. Got themed sessions going on at 8 o'clock Thursday morning, and a new format for AMATIC 101 to learn more about the organization. You can choose one of 4 50-minute tours that start at 8 a.m. You're going to walk through the Wisconsin Center and meet all kinds of interesting people along the way. Got featured speakers, chat and chew, 15-minute, quickly move from table to table and talk about things, and regional meetings and lunches. Those of you who've been there before know this is a great place to meet more people from your part of the country. We're expecting a really big Midwestern group. We talked about already all the Kentucky people and Wisconsin people signed up. And of course our exhibitors that'll help us out. Now for your those of you presenting, okay, you should have had an invitation. These are things you want to check. If you've still got questions by the time you get to Milwaukee, look for us, or you've got emails with our pictures on that first page. Don't hesitate to ask any questions so you're really prepared for things. But you should have received back in April an invitation with your name, your presentation on it, what day, what time, what room you're going to be in, to know how big the room is. And okay, then the equipment that's going to be in your room, I'm going to say a few more things about that. Notice that bottom line that says they should keep a copy for your records. But I know from experience that you either kept it and can't find it now, or maybe you didn't read that far. So let's look at a couple of these important things to know about. Okay, here's your, I am so sorry, I can't get this phone of mine to stop. All right, but anyway, these are the capacities for our rooms. Notice if your room is in the Wisconsin Center, Convention Center, it has a number attached to it. If you're looking for something, a room that has a name associated with it, it's going to be next door in the Hilton Hotel. Tim will tell you some more about that later. And the rooms in yellow do have the hardwired internet connection for the presenter. If your invitation did not list internet as an equipment, then you don't have a hardwire connection with enough bandwidth for showing videos and that sort of thing. There'll be Wi-Fi for you and attendees, but don't count on it to do a lot of important things during your presentation. Then to connect your projector, remember that you are responsible for bringing your own laptop. We only provide the projector, not the computer. Make sure you bring that laptop with you, okay? So in order to connect, I've gotten several questions about this already. Look at the picture on your left. This is what the input place should look like on your computer. You should be able to plug the projector cable into that kind of outlet. If you don't have that on your computer, you need to bring an adapter for yourself that will plug into whatever you have, but will on the other end go into the projector cable. So again, if you have other technical questions, contact me. I'll try to help you out. And then, okay, make sure when you make your conference materials that you send them to Kevin and George to get them posted on the website. If they're there ahead of time and on the app, your attendees can use them during your presentation, but only if they're there ahead of time. Then using the conference app, you should be getting an email in a few days from our app sponsor inviting you to go and see it. It's really live now, but it will give you specific directions on how to get to the app if you need to, okay? And you can use devices, it'll tell you that in the app, but most important, especially for you presiders, this is where you will tell people to go to evaluate the sessions. And then every one of you presenters should get emails with every evaluation that's done for your session. You get lots of good information that way, so make sure you pay attention to them. Hopefully you'll get a lot of good comments. And then on the app, you can also find all sorts of local information, where to eat, things to see and do. So that's what the app will be for. And this is the QR code to download the app. If you come back to this screen, again, this is what we're doing. I think I've already showed you most of that on the previous slide. Then let me thank here all the corporate sponsors that we have. Our corporate partners are Hawks Learning and McGraw-Hill, and they do special things for us. You'll hear about from Tim about some of them. Right? But be sure to go by and thank these people. Other people sponsoring things, our name badges are coming from Newton, which is now part of the Wiley organization. Cengage is doing our app. Pearson is doing some food in the hospitality room on Wednesday night. And then Hawks and McGraw-Hill are doing various things too. Hawks has some conference bags. I also understand they're going to be giving out a really cool t-shirt in the exhibit hall. So you might want to stop and take a look at that too. But thank all these people.
They're also giving away an Apple Watch a day. I'm sorry, guys. This is Natalie.
That's good. Welcome.
They're also giving away an Apple Watch a day. So if you've gotten one of those shirts that they gave out previously and you wear it, it gives you an extra raffle chance to win an Apple Watch.
Oh, that's good to know too. Anything else I've left out here? Because this is really your area.
Let's see. Hawks has bags. Newton has the name badges. Pearson has the Wednesday night hospitality suite dinner. Cengage has the app. And Saba, I'm going to get you. I see that you've got a question. I'll post the link in just a second with instructions for downloading that app. But Cengage also sent out an email earlier, just a little while ago, with instructions on how to download the app as well. McGraw-Hill is sponsoring what Judy's going to mention here in a second, a talk for us on Friday. And Hawks and McGraw-Hill have both opted to sponsor our Chat and Chew, which Tim will talk about in a second.
Okay.
Also, then, Judy, can you talk about room size and capacity? Do we know how tables and chairs will be set up?
Yes, that's an important thing I forgot to mention because I just don't think of it anymore. all the rooms are going to have round tables set for 10 people. So if it says your room is going to seat 150 people, that means you're going to have 15 tables with 10 people at each one. So you can plan lots of activities and interaction. All righty. And then these are our featured speakers that Natalie just mentioned. We actually have 2 keynote speakers on here. On your far left is Frances Sue, who will be speaking to us Thursday afternoon about mathematics for human flourishing. And underneath, still on our left side, that is James Tienton, who's going to speak at breakfast on Saturday and show us many proofs that 1 equals 2. And maybe there are some problems with that. And in the center top is John Urschel, who, thanks to McGraw-Hill, is going to talk to us on Friday morning at 8 a.m. about being part of a diverse society and all the things that are available to help people be included, and how his own story relates to all of that. And then the other 2 gentlemen are featured speakers. On the bottom is Mike Steele, who is now the leader, who's going to tell us about, on Saturday, he's going to tell us about new partnerships between K through 16 so kindergarten, secondary, college, and he is the current leader for the American Math Teachers in Education. And over on the right side, we have Alan Zolman, who's going to talk to us on Friday about how to make your students as smart as their phones. So these are really good. Also, you can find some videos on the AMATIC webpage about those keynote speakers and some other information. And this was Natalie's responsibility. If you're doing a poster, she's the one who's been sending you emails and reminders, and she can tell you more about when to set up. Maybe you could do that right now, Natalie, because I did not write that down. The poster themselves will be on the easels in the ballroom C lobby on Friday. But
So
there's when to set up. Go ahead, Natalie.
I'll be sending information out, but it'll be Thursday evening that you'll be able to set up your posters, and you'll get an email with more information from me if you are a poster presenter. And of course, if you have any questions, you know how to reach me.
Okay, thank you. And sorry about chopping up all those featured and keynote speaker information. That was my fault. They are going to do a really great job, and all the rest of you will be helping out with the program too. We're looking forward to that. Now I'm going to pass this over to Tim for some other information on other topics.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Britt. I'm from Jackson, Tennessee. I teach at Jackson State Community College. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 things here that hopefully are of interest to you. Some of you may be doing one of the chat and chew sessions. Those will be on Thursday from 1:50 to 2:40. And the way those work, it's an open room, kind of looks like what you see on the picture. And there will be a number. You can barely see those numbers probably on the tables. Each table will be numbered. We have about 20 plus tables, and each table will have a topic. And those are listed in the app, so you can kind of look and prepare for those topics. And the speaker will speak for 15 minutes at that table, kind of an informal sit-down conversation kind of place. In 15 minutes, the bell will ring, and you will get up and move to another table if you wish to hear a different topic for 15 minutes. And we will do that 3 times during the hour. So it's kind of a fast pace, get to see a lot of stuff in a short amount of time in a little bit of a more intimate situation rather than a big room where a regular presentation is going on. It's really a lot of fun. We've been doing this for 2 or 3 years now, and everybody seems to really enjoy this because it is kind of a more personal sit down kind of thing. So be sure and check your app for the topics that's for Chat and Chew on Thursday at 1:50. There will be cookies that are courtesy of McGraw-Hill and Hawks Learning, and one of those is also sponsoring a couple of tables, so you can check that out also. So a lot of fun. Be sure and check that out. Now I'm going to talk about the presider duties, because I know I've recognized the names as you signed in. I've recognized a lot of you are going to be presiders. So let me talk about that for just a second. You have your invitations that you have accepted, hopefully, and have your times, but we'll remind you of those when you get to the conference. When you register for the conference, when you do the registration, there will be a desk for presiders. There'll be a big sign that says, you know, here's the presider desk. Be sure and come by and pick up another packet. This packet will have a little bit more information on how to do the steps, how to introduce, how to do what you need to do, what you need to check, those kind of things. Just a checklist kind of information. The main things that you will do that's on this list, I'm going to point out here 4 or 5 things. That's the major things. You'll introduce the speaker. You'll read his bio. The bio will be in the packet, so the bio that they turn in. Some of you are presenters also, so you know that you had to submit your bio, so it's that bio that you submitted. You'll read that. It's usually just a short little paragraph kind of thing. You'll offer assistance to the speaker. What this usually means is if they have a handout that they need to pass out, you know, any small things like that, you'll help them if they need that type of help. If they're having technical difficulties, you might help them run to us and get one of us to come and, you know, see if we can find somebody. Normally it all works out good because, they know the responsibilities of the hookup, just like you know if you're a presenter the responsibilities. You do need to stay the full session, which is the 50 minutes, or the 2 30-minute sessions if you're presiding over a mini session. They're the same length. Either 2 mini sessions or a full session would be the same length of time. So you would need to stay both of those or the one session, because at the end you want to be sure and thank everybody for coming and thank the speaker for coming, and remind the people to do the evaluation process, which is through the app. And you'll tell them the title and their session just to remind them, and that's on your packet information. Your packet will have the session number and the title and everything, so you don't have to look up anything. It's all going to be provided for you. You'll complete a form. We'll have a form inside the packet that you'll check. You'll count the people in your session about halfway through, just so we can get a kind of an idea of how many is going to each section. And then also in your packet, there will be a blue card. And you'll want to be sure you fill out this blue card, because we'll be drawing at the end of the conference. We'll be drawing one of these blue cards, and you will receive 2 free nights lodging at the hotel for next year's conference in Spokane. So a really good chance to get you 2 free nights next year. So that make sure you fill out. It's a little blue card, so be sure you look for it in your packet. It's down in there somewhere. So don't lose it and don't forget about it. It's not a great big sheet of paper like the other pieces of information in the packet. So make sure you look down into the packet and find that. So if you have any questions, type those in, or if you have any questions, there'll be 2 or 3 people there at the presider desk that can answer any of your questions. The room number will be on your packet. The time will be on your packet. Everything will be there. So, you'll have everything to remind you of what it is that you have agreed to do and where you've agreed to do in all of this. So the main thing just to remember is pick up your packet. You're going to just do basic little things like introduce, thank everybody, remind people to do evaluations, and then complete the form and bring it back. You'll just drop it off somewhere at the desk. Just quickly stop by and say, here's my packet. You don't have to do anything extra special.
Okay. And Tim, before we move on, if I could say one thing. This talks about presider check-in. If you have presented before, you were encouraged, told you had to stop and check in with us too at registration. Well, it's time for a change. If you are presenting, we assume that you will be there to do that job, and you do not have to check in. We're testing, we're trying it out this year. So we'll see you there, but we'll trust that you're there and you're going to be in your room at the right time to do your job. So you do not have to stop and be in that rush of people. We'll all be standing around. Say hi if you want to, but it is not necessary to get in line and check in that first night or other times. But if you're presiding, please make sure you do get that packet, as Tim has already said.
Yeah, that's correct. Presenters do not check in this year, but presiders do. That's correct. Right. A little bit different. That's right.
All right. Are we ready to move on then,
Very
Tim?
good.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move on will be just fine. And we'll talk about now some of the physical locations of where everything's going on. The actual conference is going to be at the Wisconsin Center. It's not at the hotels, but it's connected to the hotels. So it's like one big building, I guess you would say. So you're not going to have to be getting in a car and going anywhere, but it is it's like a conference center. It's called the Wisconsin Center. The two hotels are connected, one on each side. It's the Hilton Milwaukee Center and the Hyatt Regency, and they're connected with a walkway between each one on one side and one on the other. The next one, so here's the floor plan of the Wisconsin Center, and you'll come in on one side from the Hilton and the other side from the Hyatt, and you'll come in on the second floor on each side. And on the right-hand side is the second floor. So if you are presenting or presiding in a room that says 201 or 203 or 202, then you'll be on the second floor in your presentation or your presiding. To do registration, which is where you pick up your packet or pick up those kind of pieces of information, it's on the first floor. So when you come in from the hotel, there'll be escalators. You'll go down the escalators to the registration area, and you can see that on the left of your screen here with the big black star that says registration area. And then on the registration on floor 1 is where the rooms are 101, 102, and 103 are located. And then the ballroom where several of the activities will take place. Like the Saturday breakfast and a few of those things. So watch for those. Several of the rooms, if you'll notice, are like 102AB or 102D. 102, if you look at the little small letters, has, the little small, it's divided up. And so though the 102 will be divided up with those temporary walls. You all are familiar with some of the hotel type conference rooms that have those walls that can divide it even further. So some of those will be double rooms and things like that. So if you're in 102, you might say 102DE, then that means those two have been combined together to make your presentation room or your room that you're presiding over. So main thing to remember is you're coming in from on the second floor when you come in from the hotels, and that will be your floor if you're in room 20 something, and then you'll go downstairs if you're in room 10 something, or you'll go downstairs for the registration area. Judy, where is the exhibits? I can't remember.
I was just going to say, one thing that did not get marked on this floor plan, the exhibits are in the ballroom AB section, so really
Okay.
right across from the registration area.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew that had been said before, but I couldn't remember since we had changed. And if you look at the hospitality, the big hospitality with the arrow, that's the place where the hospitality is going to be located on the first floor. So, and then the posters, you can see they will be in the ballroom lobby. It says, I think, ballroom pre-function. That's where the poster session will be if you need that. Of course, you can always stop by the registration area or find, if you know your room number, you can always stop a hotel employee or one of us and find it. But they should be very easy to find because they're all pretty centrally, everything's pretty centrally located at the same place, just on floor 1 or floor 2. Okay. And I think that's all that. Now, our registration hours, and again, you know, this is going pretty fast, but this will be recorded, so you can always go back and look at the recording if you see this. Kind of varies from day to day. It's not consistent from day to day. The first registration, though, will start on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. That'll be the first opportunity to register. It'll go to 8 p.m. So it's pretty late on Wednesday. We stay open pretty late because a lot of people start arriving, you know, late afternoon and up until later on Wednesday. We do open early on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so that if you do come in late on one of those nights, because a lot of people get there, you know, 8 or 9 o'clock when your flight gets there, then you can get registered before the 8 o'clock sessions start on the next morning. So we open at 7 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday's got a break in it. We break from 8 to 10. So we're open for registration from 7 to 8, and then we open again from 10 to noon. Now, this is for the people who do single day type of registrations. Most of you are probably going to be registered for the full conference. So you're probably going to register probably on Wednesday or Thursday for most of you. On Wednesday, during registration, have something special going on. If you notice at the bottom, polka's big in Wisconsin, so there's going to be a polka band and free polka lessons. I guess that's near the registration area, or at least you'll be pointed in the direction from the registration area. So be sure and take advantage of that. So that should be a lot of fun. So make a note of that. Yes.
Oops, sorry, Tim. Judy, there's a question I think that you might be best equipped to answer. which is from Sean, and he wants to know, when presenting last year, there were some presentations that happened in the same room with ABC designations that didn't have walls, making it difficult to present. And so he wanted to know if the room designations would be walled.
Yes, everything is separated with actual sound walls here. There is nothing like we encountered last year on that one day where we were trying to separate with curtains, and it just didn't work. We learned our lesson, and we apologize again for that. But everything is, if it's in DE, that DE will be separated from C by a sound wall. Everything is enclosed this year.
That is great, because that was an issue last year. I was in a couple of those sessions and it was not fun. So that's great. Yes, everything will be walled off according to your group of rooms. Okay, so everybody be sure to take advantage of the fun stuff that'll be going on. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, because the next slide is kind of interesting. This is what your mind's probably doing right now. Everything that we said is probably all jumbled up together in one big pot. It would be for me. I know it would be for me, so I'm sure it is for a lot of you too. So what do I do? Well, this will be recorded. So number one, you can go back and play it at your own speed and pause it at your own speed and soak up more of it that you can. But my favorite thing that I like to recommend is the app. The app is absolutely awesome. It has all the sessions, all the presenters, all the times, has a list of recommended restaurants. It has a lot of stuff in it other than just here's the conference and here's the app, here's the sessions that's going on. It has a lot of information. So get the app as soon as possible and start planning. Make your plan. I do that every time. Pick out the sessions you think you might be interested in. You can mark them. It'll make your schedule, and it'll tell you what your schedule is. Even if you don't go to everything that you mark, just start picking them out. Because when you have 200 sessions or 300 sessions, and you get there and you wake up Friday morning and here's 100 sessions, and you got to wade through them, it's going to be lunchtime, and you realize I've missed 3 hours that I could have gone somewhere by sitting here trying to figure out where I want to go. So plan ahead. Plan ahead is huge. And even, like I said, even if you don't go to everything you plan. And another big thing you want to do is take some time off. Go see something else. You don't have to go to a session every single hour, every single day, because Milwaukee has some stuff you want to see. So get out and enjoy yourself in Milwaukee for a little bit. There's lots of good things, and the app will tell you some of the things you want to see around the area in Milwaukee. So take a little bit of time off for yourself. Mark the things that you really want to do. The Saturday breakfast, that's something that you want to mark. Everybody wants to do the Saturday breakfast. The luncheon, that your regional lunches, you'll divide up by your regional AMATIC. That's Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So your Friday lunch and your Saturday morning breakfast, those are included. Those are the only 2 meals that are included, but they are included. Plus, at the Friday lunch, you get to meet with just your region. So it's a little more, you get to meet people in your area a little bit more. And then, of course, the Saturday breakfast is the speaker, and it's really good. It's usually a very good speaker, and they do a lot of giving away awards and stuff like that at that. So those 2 things you want to mark. So there's a few things you want to say, yes, I am going to this, period. And then other things you want to put on your maybe list and start picking out from those. So that'll kind of help this picture here kind of start flatten out a little bit and kind of get a little more organization going on. So use the app. My favorite thing is to use the app. That's all I've got to say now. We're going to go to the next screen, and I'm going to let Judy or Natalie, either one, if they have anything else to add first, and then if anybody has any more questions, we can start addressing questions.
Well, I guess it was the picture of the brain made me think of something else to share with everybody. Since we do have quite a few first-time attendees among our presenters and presiders here, let me remind you that when you do go through your registration process, you want to be sure to pick up the ribbons that you can attach to your name badge. It is a self-service counter again this year, but after you have your badge and your bag and all those other things, go over and help yourself to whatever you're entitled to. If you're a first-time attendee, there'll be a ribbon that has an FTA on it. If you're not first-time and you were there last year, there'll be an ALY for attended last year. You're a presider and or a presenter, there'll be ribbons for that. Go ahead and put them all together and make as long a strip as you can. so that we'll know who you are and we'll talk to you more about specifically what you're doing and what's going on at the conference.
That's true. It looks really nice to have those hanging from your lanyard and your badge. It looks really good to have all those. People will stop you and say, "Oh, you're new this year," or "Oh, you've been here before." And it's really good conversation piece to have those little ribbons hanging from your badge. Okay, anybody have any questions?
Hi, Leah. Yeah, we did actually address that. If you have a regular 50-minute session, there will be a projector, but there will not be a laptop. And Judy, if you could go back so that she can see what the HDMI output looks like. This is what will be a few slides back. Judy will put up right now what will be provided so that you can see. And if you don't have an HDMI connector, you just need to bring a cord to, there it is, yeah. A cord to connect it. So again, you will absolutely have your projector, but you do need to bring your laptop and a connector if it's not an HDMI connection.
And again, Leah, if you're interested in everything else, we are recording this, so don't worry about being late. You can see the rest of this too. So welcome anyway, even if you're late.
Yeah, and this was the room chart that was in here with the size of the room. And also the length gives you some idea about how big you should make the type on your PowerPoint presentation or whatever else you're showing. So people, even in the back, will be sure to see it.
Also, we had a question, is it possible to have a whiteboard in the room or something else to write on? If it was requested and you got a list of all the equipment that was in their whiteboard, was one of the options there. So some people do if it was requested.
But if it's not listed as equipment, then there will not be in that room at that time. And we can't add things now, sorry.
Okay, are there any other questions for our presenters? You can type your questions down into the chat. We got, now's a good time to ask them. When you get there and it's 10 minutes before your presentation, when you panic, is probably not the time to ask. So those that have presented before, is there anything that you can think they may be leaving out that that you've run into in the past?
We just had a question, which is a really great one, which is my laptop battery can be iffy. Will there be a place to plug in my computer?
Yes, there should be a power strip along with everything else in the room. So you just need to remember your cord and you should be okay.
Tim, this one's for you. Do you have all the sessions covered with Presiders?
Right now I do, but if you want me to put you on the wait list, it would be greatly appreciated, because there's always people who cancel or don't show up, even at the conference. So please check by the desk all the time. Come by every day and check at the desk, because somebody don't show up a lot. So right now the answer is yes, they're all covered. But that does not mean you should not tell me your name and that you would like to be a presider. So please fill out the presider form. The presider link is still active on the conference website. It's still active and will stay active all the way up through the conference, just in case we do need somebody. So I do keep a wait list.
Judy, I have a question. In past, some of the rooms have had microphones in them, some of the larger rooms. and sometimes the microphones have been ones that you could disconnect from the stand and walk around with, and there's been times where you've got to stay on the stand with the microphone. Do you know if that's going to be a concern at the Milwaukee conference?
Well, as far as having sound amplification, if the room is set for 60 or more people, there will be a microphone provided. More than likely, it will be attached to the podium, and so there will be restriction on movement. If you are in room 201, it is probably because you requested to have a panel set up, and there will be table at the front with a couple of table mics on for those panel talks. But that would have been already requested as a panel. And also in any of those rooms that does have the sound provided, if you requested audio to project a video or something from your computer, it's simply a matter of taking the cord that's on the podium and plugging it into your computer, and you'll be hooked up to the sound system for the room.
Okay, Judy, there's another question, says, are there any accessibility needs that they should be mindful of?
There are elevators in the Wisconsin Center, and of course you have the ramps to both hotels where there are also elevators available. We have tried this year to make sure there's more room and movability for folks who might have some issues. There will be a special, this is not accessibility necessarily, but there will be a special place for nursing mothers to go. We had a request for a quiet space. We don't really have that in the conference center, but we're very close to the hotel this time, or just some spaces to go off and sit alone. When you're on those walkways, there's actually some seating, and that would be a space too, just to get away from it all. But the way the center is set up, there's not a lot of getaway space, unfortunately. And this has nothing to do with accessibility, but right across from the conference center, inside the Hilton Hotel, is a very nice Starbucks, just FYI for everybody.
I don't know if it's Carrie or Kari Anderson. Did that answer your question about accessibility, or did you have something else in mind? And are there any other questions? We've still got quite a bit of time if there's more questions.
One thing I did
Am I right in assuming you're through with your PowerPoint part and we're just on the questions?
Yeah, let me mention one thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about room numbers. If your room number is a 200, 100 number, that's in the Wisconsin Center. If you are presiding or presenting on Sunday, your room number will probably be a name like Wright or Walker or something like that. Those rooms are in the Hilton. We do move the rooms on Sunday to the Hilton. They're usually a little bit smaller. There's not as many sessions. Sometimes there are not as many people that attend because people leave on Saturday a lot. So we don't use the conference rooms in the Wisconsin Center. We use rooms in the Hilton. So they have a little bit different name. So if you didn't see your room number on here because your room has a name like Wright or something like that, it's in the Hilton. So I forgot to mention that when we were going through room numbers.
And also those rooms in the Hilton, Thursday through Saturday, there could be some meetings and other events going on. And so if you're looking for a named room, it's going to be in the Hilton. When you go over the walkway, there is good signage and direction over there on which floor those various rooms are on. If you're looking for something and you're still not sure where it is, just stop by the registration desk, because we should have a complete list of everything that's going on that is not necessarily in your program or on the app.
That's true, because some of the vendors do focus groups and things like that, and those would be in those rooms. So that's true. Would not have to be just Sunday.
So we've got a follow-up question about wondering if presenters should be prepared to be interpreted, as the person was at a previous conference with deaf attendees and interpreters. So that's question 1. And then question 2 is, for handouts and activity materials, should they be placed in bulk on the table during setup time?
There should be a space near registration for handouts left from your session if you'd like to share them with other people. As far as interpreting, I am not aware, we are not going to provide interpreters. If someone came with someone to interpret for them, that would be a different matter, but I think that would be on an individual basis.
Let me say something about your handouts and activity stuff. We do ask that you have those posted in the app before, and you would send those to Kevin, the conference coordinator, and he can have those posted in the app for you, so that when you go to your session, the attendees can pull up your handouts in the app, and they don't have to necessarily depend on you having to pass them out. So that was somewhere, I think she's looking for the slide now, we highly suggest that you do that. So if you have a handout or something, right here, this is it. If you have a handout or presentation materials, that's a wonderful thing to do, so that attendees can see that without having you to pass them out a physical copy.
Jennifer, to answer your question, because Jennifer says that there are things people need to hold and do during her presentation. It's totally up to you. If it makes sense to hand it out before, you can do that. If it makes sense to hand it out during, if it makes sense to put it on the round tables, it's totally up to you, whatever makes sense for your presentation.
Yes, you should have access to your room 15 to 20 minutes before the start time. So anything you need to get ready, you should be able to go in. That's part of Presider, to be there to help you make sure the previous people are moving out, and then anything you need to set up, make sure all your equipment is there and functioning properly. Oh, and Presiders, if you do run into some equipment issues and questions, you can come back to us at registration, and we can go ahead and get a hold of appropriate people, AV or whoever, to come and help you if needed. But let us know.
There is not a phone number for registrations or issues. So if the question is, the room is on the other side of the center. And is there a more effective way to reach? I think that would be the presider that could reach out, right, with the time.
Yes. Even though it looks like it's a long distance, it really isn't, and we could be walking the halls. There will also be some other people with badges that say they're from Experient Conference Company. They'll be around too. Just don't grab a hotel staff and ask for a favor, because that costs extra money.
Michelle, you can absolutely send it to Kevin by Monday.
Yes.
You should bring your own copies, John, but if you don't want to do that, there is I think it's a Staples nearby. It's an office supply store nearby, and they can make copies there as well.
But again, John, if you want to send those and get them posted to the app, the people in the session with the app would have access to them on the app. Of course, that's assuming that everybody would have the app, which most people do.
Okay, these are all good questions. Are there any other questions out there? I think Natalie and Tim and Judy all have done a wonderful job answering these questions as they come in. We still got a few minutes, so we can handle some more questions if there's any.
Again, if you have not signed up to be a presider and you want to be put on the wait list, it would be greatly appreciated. I may not can assign you right now, but I might need you later. So feel free to go ahead and fill out to be a presider.
So John, if you have an idea for an informal event, we do have the impromptu room, and I'll let Judy talk a little bit about that.
Yes, it is in 103. Help me out with a letter, but right there on the first floor of the center, we have the impromptu room where you can sign up at any point. There are sign-up sheets. They'll be available starting Wednesday, and then they'll go outside the room itself. And you can go and sign up for a time and a topic you want to talk about. Some people will invite people after their talk to continue the discussion. Some folks just want to get together and talk about how are you doing this at your school sort of thing. But it's available, and whenever you sign up, first come, first served. There are very few things already there, so feel free to think about that and make use of it, please. We left it open for you to make use of.
What room did you say, Judy? 103?
I'm going to say A, but I'm not sure about that. It'll be listed in the program.
It is. It's 103A.
103A. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
It's in the hallway right across from the hospitality area.
Okay, it sounds like we might be getting near the end of the questions. Let me share a few more closing slides, and then if Tim and Judy and Natalie want to stay around for a couple more minutes. So let me. Okay, so come on. What happened to my? Oh, I can't get mine to. I'm not sharing. Okay, maybe can everybody see it? Can you see it like this in preview mode?
I can.
Okay, so I'll just do it from here. Did all that. Okay, so thank you all for participating in the webinar. If you are not a member and would like to be a member, we have a link to join. We do have a Facebook page, so this really gets a lot of activity right before and during the AMATIC conference. So in addition to the app, if you're on Facebook liking the AMATIC, you can get a lot of good information that way, especially as events are about to happen. Other professional development opportunities, we've got the conference, of course. We have other webinars coming up, as well as traveling workshops. There are positions within AMATIC that are available. If you go to the conference, you'll probably hear about other positions that are coming up. I believe Judy, and you all might be able to help. I believe we're close to filling the professional development coordinator position.
I heard that, but I can't say for sure.
Okay. But if you are interested in being involved in AMATIC, you can go to the amatic.org website and see other opportunities that are available. We are recording, and we will upload this Generally 1 to 2 weeks, but we'll try to get this one uploaded quicker because the conference is coming up so quickly. Both the video and the PowerPoint. And on the screen here is the link and the QR code for the survey. For those that want a certificate of attendance, you would need to go through the survey, and at the end there's a place where you can request a certificate. So if there are more questions, we can handle those, but why don't, by way of a message in the chat window, why don't we thank our presenters, Judy, Tim, and Natalie, for their information today, and let them know that you appreciate the conference, the webinar. And again, thanks for attending, and we look forward to seeing everyone in Milwaukee.
And we look forward to seeing all of you in 2 weeks. Have safe travels.
2 weeks, it doesn't seem like it's that close.
I know.
Oh, yes.
Always, whenever it's the next month, it seems like it's a ways away, but with November starting on Friday, it's all of a sudden, it's right here.
Yeah, all of a sudden the other day I realized Friday is November 1st. The Spokane submission site should be open.
Wow.
And I'm going to
Yeah.
I'm going to
Think about
stop the
next year
recording right